The NASCAR team who signed away F1 veteran Kimi Raikkonen is looking to get themselves another one, it seems, and they've been in contact with Daniel Ricciardo. What was his response to this? Is there any chance that he's switching to another avenue of motorsports now that he's been let go from his F1 team? We'll be letting you in on all of the details as the video progresses, so be sure to stick around till the end. Is it true? Is NASCAR really looking to scoop up another F1 driver? Trackhouse Racing Project 91 is the name of the NASCAR team, which has seemingly taken an interest in converting Formula One vets into the much more Americanized version of motorsport racing. They're the same ones who convinced Kimi Raikkonen to make the switch after he retired from F1 in 2021, as we noted, and now they're seemingly making overtures toward Daniel Ricciardo. As of now, he does not have a spot in the F1 2023 driver lineup, and his options in Formula One are running pretty thin for the foreseeable future. So it's sensible to think that he might be weighing his options and that now might be a good time for such a switch. Justin Marks is the boss of Trackhouse Racing Project 91, and according to the reporting of Herald Sun in Australia, he recently contacted Ricciardo regarding his availability, clearly looking to get another signing now that the window has opened. Ricciardo, of course, was terminated from his contract with McLaren a year early, leaving him as a free agent after the conclusion of the 2022 season. With only so many driver seats available in Formula One, the pickings are looking slim for him at the moment, and indeed overtures from outside the sport have been picking up steam. NASCAR isn't even the only one, as he's been linked to a switch to IndyCar as well. But of course, just because offers come in doesn't mean that a deal is going to be made, or even that there's any interest there to begin with, as far as Ricciardo is concerned. So that brings us to our next question. Does Ricciardo intend to race by any cost next year, Formula One or not? While interest might be there in other sports for the driver, if you're a big-time Formula One fan who's really hoping he sticks around, we've got good news for you. He's been pretty adamant that he's not making a switch anytime soon, even now that he started to come to terms with the fact that he's probably not going to be on the grid at all in 2023. Instead, he's focusing on a 2024 return to the sport. In speaking to reporters after the Japanese Grand Prix, Ricciardo made his stance clear when he said that the plan is very much to still be involved in F1 and considers the pause button to have been pressed on his career, no more than that. And as far as the idea of racing in other leagues goes, he said to them, quote, "The full intention is for 24, and sure, it could open up opportunities to maybe do some of that stuff, but if I feel it's going to deviate away from my target, then I will say it's not really where I'm looking," end quote. He explained that as cool or fun as it might sound to branch out into another series, he felt that mentally he just wasn't with it, as he's so very engaged in F1 and feels that a little bit of time outside of the seat can do him some good as well, which is part of why he's also not rushing to sign another F1 contract in time for next year. Ricciardo believed that such a break would be a lot better for him right now than to try and race in a different series and keep himself busy there. He finished by letting us know he could say pretty definitively his return to racing won't happen anywhere else but F1. Is it really so impossible for him to race in 2023? Are there no good teams for him in F1 right now? As we said, options are pretty limited, though if he really desperately just wanted to get back on the track in 2023 at all costs, it could happen. Guenther Steiner, the team boss at Haas, has made it public that he has an interest in replacing Mick Schumacher with Ricciardo. Meanwhile, Alpine had a vacant seat of their own after Fernando Alonso left and was in a bit of a tricky spot trying to find a replacement. Their original choice was of course going to be Oscar Piastri, but in a very big story he signed with another team and ended up in a legal battle for a while as the Contract Recognition Board had to make a call on whether or not his new contract was valid. Ultimately, they did side with Piastri, leaving him free to go to his new team. And that new team was of course McLaren, who let Ricciardo go ostensibly for the sake of signing Piastri. Alpine would have theoretically been the favorites there because of their pressing need to get a driver signed ASAP, meaning you'd have a lot of leverage negotiating with them. Plus, Ricciardo has a history with the organization, having previously driven for them back when they were called Renault. Additionally, I think we can all agree it'd just be a little bit poetic for him to sign with them after everything that went down with Piastri. Effectively, it'd be the two teams trading drivers. But ultimately, Alpine signed Pierre Gasly away from AlphaTauri instead, and that team quickly filled their seat with Nick de Vries. That leaves only two openings left, the aforementioned Haas team and the Williams team, neither of which Ricciardo seems to have interest in, as he's essentially confirmed that he won't be racing in 2023. He said that he was aware of the Gasly news in advance and knew of the interest in Pierre, sounding as though he had already braced for the reveal. He said that he was prepared and not surprised, so they wanted to try and navigate around that to see what was next. He then admitted, quote, "But I think the reality is now I won't be on the grid in 2023. I think it's now just trying to set up for 2024. I think that there there could be some better opportunities then, so that's really what all this confirms, and now where the sights are set." End quote. So yeah, he's just holding out hope now that more openings come in the next couple of years. Rumors of him getting a reserve driver slot with Mercedes have been shot down, and again, he's adamant that he's not going to be switching leagues. At the moment, the future is a little murky, partly because Ricciardo is currently in a tie for 5th place as far as F1 drivers' salaries in 2022 go, so financial considerations are a big factor here for any team that might be eyeing him. Any other Formula One news out there? While we're on the subject of Ricciardo, we can talk about his relationship with Oscar Piastri. We did briefly bring up the situation that cropped up involving the two drivers this year, where Ricciardo was let go to make room for the rising up-and-comer. Many were left to assume that there was perhaps some bad blood between them after that, and wondered if Ricciardo held any resentment for the youngster. However, he made clear that this was not true, and the two of them had a very classy phone call recently. If you'd like to hear the details on that, we have another video out on just that very topic, so feel free to check that out once you've finished watching this one. In other Formula One news, well, it's hard to call it news, but obviously it's the dominating headline all the same. The 2022 Japanese Grand Prix has come and gone, and with it, the season is over. Well, technically, it's still got 4 more Grand Prix to go, but the race for the top spot has already ended. Max Verstappen got up to such an incredible lead in points that it was nearly statistically impossible for anyone to catch up to him, so it can't come as too huge a shock that today, the inevitable was made official. Verstappen won the Japanese Grand Prix to take 25 more points to add to his astronomical total of 366. There is a 113 gap in points between him and second place Sergio Perez, and that's enough to mathematically eliminate him and therefore the rest of the field. Thus, Verstappen has been crowned the 2022 Formula One World Champion for the 2nd straight year, having such a dominant showing that his season has practically finished a month early. You'd best believe the entire league is gearing up to try and be the ones to overtake him in 2023, but for now, looking to the future is all they can do. And that is all the time we have for today's video. Do you think Daniel Ricciardo would do himself some good by making a switch to NASCAR or anywhere else? Or are you hoping he's telling it like it is and is fully committed to making that F1 comeback? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching.